Every time you choose to spend instead of save, you are quietly winning a war against a specific person. And that person is you, the future you, the one who'll need that money, who's counting on you right now to set some aside, who will have to live with whatever you decide today. And here's the strange, almost disturbing truth we're going to uncover. Your brain barely considers that future person to be you at all. It treats them more like a stranger, a vague acquaintance you don't owe much to. And that single glitch, the fact that your own future self feels like someone else, is why saving feels almost impossible and why present you wins over and over at future you's expense. Today we find out why your brain treats you like two different people and how to finally get them on the same side. Because once you understand that saving doesn't feel hard by accident, that it feels hard because your brain genuinely doesn't recognize your future self as you, the whole struggle starts to make sense, and for the first time becomes something you can actually win. Let me lay out the war clearly, because once you see it, you'll recognize it in every money decision you've ever struggled with. There are two of you, present you, who exists right now, who feels everything vividly, who wants things today, and who is the one actually making every decision. And future you, who needs security, who'll face the bills and the emergencies and the old age, but who isn't here right now to argue their case, can't feel anything yet, and has to live with every choice present you makes. And in this war, present you holds almost all the power. Present you decides. Present you feels the pull of what it wants now, loud and immediate. And future you? Future you is abstract, silent, far away, easy to ignore. So present you takes the money and spends it, again and again, and future you just has to absorb the consequences whenever they finally arrive. Today we figure out why this war is so lopsided, why your brain sides with present you almost every time, and how to give future you a fighting chance. First, what's at stake? Because this is the war underneath nearly all of saving and not saving. Every single act of saving is present you choosing to give something up so future you can have more. Every act of overspending is present you taking from future you. So this isn't one money behavior among many, it's the core engine behind whether you save at all. When people say they can't save, what's really happening is that present you keeps winning the war, keeps prioritizing its own immediate wants over a future self that feels too distant and abstract to fight for. And the consequences land on a real person, the actual you, years from now, who'll face retirement, emergencies, and hard times with whatever present you left them, which is usually far too little. That's what's at stake, not abstract good financial habits, but the actual material life of a real future person, you, who is currently being outvoted in every decision by a present self that treats them like a stranger. And here's what makes this war uniquely tragic among everything we've covered. The victim can never speak up in time. With most money traps, you eventually feel the consequence yourself and learn from it. The regret arrives, you adjust. But future you can't show up to the decision to defend themselves because they don't exist yet. They have no voice in the room when present you spends. They only get to exist later, after every choice is already locked in, when it's far too late to change anything. And by then, the present you that made all those choices is gone too, replaced by the very future you now stuck with the results. So the person who pays is never the person who decides. Present you spends and feels fine. Future you inherits and pays with no power to have voted. It's the only war where the side that loses everything never even gets to fight, because they arrive on the battlefield only after the war is over. Which means future you's entire defense depends on present you choosing, right now, voluntarily, to fight on their behalf. To be the voice for a person who can't be there to speak for themselves. Nobody else will do it. If present you doesn't advocate for future you, no one ever will, until future you arrives to live with the silence. You remember Noggin, soft pink cartoon brain, Big eyes, little stick arms, doing his best in a world he wasn't built for. The saver angel and her piggy bank, the spender devil with his bags, and cave noggin, the wild ancestor who surges up when the old instincts fire. Well, today we meet a noggin we haven't really focused on, future noggin. Older, facing the consequences of every choice present noggin makes, completely dependent on a present self that barely thinks about him. And we watch present noggin, with the best intentions, repeatedly choose his own wants over a future self that feels, to his ancient brain, like a near stranger he's not all that responsible for. Today we figure out how present noggin and future noggin can stop being enemies and become the same person, finally on the same side. Here's the roadmap. First, we'll figure out why your brain treats your future self like a different person. Then we'll see why that makes present you win almost every time. Then we'll look at why this was actually sensible on the savannah and is a disaster now. And then we'll figure out how to make future you real enough to fight for. Let's go. So why does your brain treat your future self like a stranger? This is one of the most fascinating findings about the human mind, and it's the root of the whole war. When you think about your future self, your brain processes it less like thinking about you and more like thinking about another person entirely. The distant future you isn't felt as me, it's felt as them, a separate individual, someone related to you, but not quite you. And the further away that future self is, the more like a stranger they feel. Your retirement age self, decades away, is almost a complete stranger to your present brain. And here's why that matters enormously. You don't sacrifice for strangers the way you sacrifice for yourself. Giving money to a near stranger for their benefit decades from now feels very different from keeping money for yourself. So when you're asked to save, to hand money to future you, some deep part of your brain experiences it as giving your money away to someone else, some other person you'll probably never even meet, instead of as moving resources to your own future. No wonder it feels so hard. Your brain literally isn't convinced that future person is you. And stacked right on top of the stranger problem is a second ancient glitch that makes it even worse. Your brain steeply discounts anything in the future, wanting rewards now far more than the same reward later. A thing you can have today feels enormously more valuable than the identical thing a year from now, even though, rationally, later might be worth far more. This is why spend now beats save for later, even when the later payoff is bigger. Your brain applies a massive discount to anything that isn't immediate, shrinking future rewards until they feel small and pale next to the vivid now. Combine the two glitches and you have a perfect storm against saving. The future reward is both heavily discounted, so it feels smaller, and it belongs to a stranger, so you care about it less. Present you faces a vivid, full value, undeniably yours want, and is asked to trade it for a shrunken, discounted reward belonging to someone who barely feels like you. Of course it loses. The wonder isn't that people struggle to save, it's that anyone manages to at all, against two of the deepest currents in the human mind pulling the same direction. And this is why present you wins the war almost every time. Think about the matchup. On one side, present you, vivid, real, here right now, feeling its wants intensely, holding all the decision-making power. On the other side, future you, abstract, silent, felt as a near stranger, not even here to argue. It's not a fair fight. Present you feels the genuine pull of what it wants today, and future you's needs feel like the needs of some distant other person you're vaguely aware of but don't really feel. So of course present you takes the money. Of course the immediate vivid want beats the abstract stranger-like future need. Every time you choose the thing today over saving for later, you're choosing the vivid real self you are right now over the abstract stranger self you can't quite believe in. The war is rigged from the start because one side is felt as you and the other is felt as someone else, and your brain will always fight harder for the self it actually identifies with. And notice this isn't a fair fight in another way too. Present you doesn't just have more power, it has all the feelings. Present you feels the pleasure of the purchase, the relief of the treat, the satisfaction of the want fulfilled. All of it, right now, vividly. Future you's reward, the security, the relief of having saved, is felt by nobody in the present moment at all, because future you isn't here to feel it yet. So when present you weighs a real pleasure I'll feel right now against an abstract benefit that some stranger will feel someday, the felt experience is wildly one-sided. The entire emotional payoff is loaded onto the spending side, while the saving side offers a reward that, in the moment of choosing, literally no one can feel. That's a brutal asymmetry. It means saving will almost always feel worse in the moment than spending, not because it is worse, but because its reward is invisible and deferred, while spending's reward is immediate and vivid. Understanding this doesn't make saving feel good in the moment, but it does let you stop trusting that in-the-moment feeling, because you know exactly why it's rigged, and you can choose against it on purpose. Knowing the good feeling of having saved is real too, just waiting on the other side of the gap where future you will actually get to feel it. Let me show you Noggin in it. Present Noggin has some money and a choice. Spend it on something he wants now, or save it for future Noggin. And watch what his brain does. The want? Vivid, immediate, real, felt right now, his own. Future Noggin's need? Abstract, distant, felt like a different, older guy he can barely picture, someone he's not even sure is really him. So when present Noggin weighs it up, it doesn't feel like me now versus me later. It feels like me, real and present, versus some vague future stranger who wants me to give up my money for him. And put that way, present Noggin does what anyone would. He keeps the money for himself, the self he actually is, and the vague future fellow can fend for himself. He's not being selfish or stupid. His brain genuinely isn't presenting future Noggin as him. It's presenting him as someone else, someone abstract and distant and easy to deprioritize. So present Noggin spends, again, and somewhere down the line, future Noggin, who turns out to be very much the same Noggin, just older and now facing the bill, inherits a life with too little set aside, wondering why his past self kept doing this to him. The war was lost not out of malice, but because the two Noggins never felt like the same person. And here's the quietly heartbreaking part of future Noggin's situation. He can see exactly what happened, but only in reverse, only too late. When future Noggin finally arrives, older, facing the bills with too little set aside, he looks back and understands the whole thing perfectly. He knows present Noggin wasn't evil, just couldn't feel him as real. He knows every spend felt reasonable in its moment. He knows the wants that won were vivid and his own needs were abstract. He understands it all completely and can do absolutely nothing about it because the decisions are decades behind him, made by a self he can no longer reach or argue with. All future Noggin can do is live in the world present Noggin built and wish, uselessly, that someone had made present Noggin feel him sooner. And the cruelest twist is that future Noggin then becomes a new present Noggin, facing a new future Noggin even further down the road. And unless something changes, he does the exact same thing, because the new future self feels just as abstract to him now as he once did to his younger self. The war doesn't end when you become the future you sacrificed. It just resets, with you in the other chair, doing the same thing to the next version, forever, until somebody finally makes the future self real enough to fight for. And here's the part that makes all of this forgivable. On the savannah, prioritizing the present over the future was the right call. Think about Cave Noggin's world. The future was radically uncertain. He might not survive the week, let alone reach old age. Resources couldn't be stored long. Food rotted, surplus spoiled. There were no retirement accounts, No decades-long horizons to plan for, no way to meaningfully invest in a far-off future, even if he'd wanted to. So a brain that grabbed the reward now, that prioritized the vivid present self over a distant future that might never arrive, was a brain that survived. Discounting the future heavily and caring most about present you wasn't a flaw. It was the only sane strategy in a world where the future was a coin flip and you couldn't bank anything anyway. The brain that obsessed over a distant future self, sacrificing today's certain survival for a tomorrow that might never come, was the brain that didn't make it. So you inherited a mind beautifully optimized for now, because for almost all of human history, now was the only time that reliably existed. The whole tragedy is that the modern world flipped this completely. Now you very likely will reach old age, money can be stored and grown for decades, and the far future is real and plannable. But you're facing it with a brain that still treats the future as an uncertain stranger not worth sacrificing for. The instinct was wisdom. The world it was wise for is gone. So here's the twist, the thing I really want you to keep. It is not your fault. You're not irresponsible or short-sighted for struggling to save. You're running a brain that genuinely processes your distant future self as a different person, almost a stranger, rather than as you. The further away, the more stranger-like. So being asked to save feels, deep down, like being asked to give your own money away to someone else for their benefit, which no brain does easily. And because present you is vivid and real and holds all the power, while future you is abstract and silent and felt as an acquaintance you don't owe much to. Present you wins nearly every time, not out of selfishness, but because your brain is fighting hardest for the self it actually identifies with, the one that exists right now. That's not a character flaw, that's a deep feature of how the human mind handles time and identity, turned against your future the moment money and long horizons entered the picture. So drop the guilt about being bad at saving. You're not bad at saving. Your brain just isn't convinced future you is you. But it is still your responsibility. Because your brain is never going to spontaneously start feeling your retirement age self as vividly real, future you will always feel a bit like a stranger, and present you will always hold the power and feel its wants loudest. Nobody is going to show up to defend future you in the moment of decision. So the modern you has to do what your brain won't do on its own. Make future you real enough to fight for, and build systems that protect them even when present you isn't thinking about them at all. You have to become the advocate for a person your brain keeps forgetting is you. Here's how. Defense number 1, the master move. Make future you vivid and real. The whole war is lost because future you feels abstract and stranger-like. So the single most powerful thing you can do is make that future self concrete and felt. Don't think about saving for the future in the abstract. Picture the actual future person. Imagine them specifically, older you in a specific situation, facing a specific moment, an emergency, a retirement, a hard time, and feel what it's like to be them, depending entirely on what present you decides now. The more real, detailed, and emotionally vivid you can make future you, the more your brain starts to feel them as you rather than a stranger, and the more present you is willing to sacrifice for them. People who vividly imagine their future selves save more because they've closed the gap between present and future self, turning a stranger back into themselves. Spend real time making future you a real person, and the war stops being so lopsided. There are concrete ways to do this that genuinely work. Write an actual letter from present you to future you, or from future you back to present you, and feel the connection that forms. Look at an aged image of your own face and let it land that this is really you coming. Picture a specific, ordinary day in your future life, in detail, until the person living it feels real. These aren't gimmicks. They're doing something precise and powerful, closing the felt distance between you and the stranger your brain invented, until your mind starts filing that future person under me instead of them. And the moment future you stops being a stranger and starts being you, the entire calculation changes. Because now saving isn't sacrificing for someone else. It's taking care of yourself, which your brain is perfectly willing to do. The whole war turns on this one shift from them to me, which is why making future you vivid is the master move that all the others support. Defense number 2, take the decision away from present you entirely with automation. Since present you holds all the power and will almost always choose itself, the most reliable defense is to remove the decision from present you's hands. Automate saving so it happens before present you ever gets to weigh in. Money moving to future you automatically, the instant income arrives, with no in-the-moment choice for present you to win. This is the genius of automatic saving at the brain level. It doesn't try to win the war each time, which present you usually would. It ends the war by deciding once, in advance, and then taking present you out of the loop entirely. You're not relying on present you to choose future you, because present you almost never will. You're building a system where future you gets protected automatically before the vivid present self even notices the money was there. And notice how this connects to everything we said about payday. The reason pay yourself first automatically is the most repeated advice in all of personal finance isn't that it's magic, it's that it solves this exact war, the deepest one. It protects future you precisely when future you is most defenseless. In the moment of decision, when present you is vivid and powerful, and future you is a silent stranger. By automating, you let a calm, far-sighted version of present you, the one making the decision once, in advance, thinking clearly about future you, lock in the protection so that the impulsive, in-the-moment, present you never gets a vote. You're essentially having your wisest present self fight the war on future you's behalf ahead of time, and then removing your weakest present self from the battlefield entirely. That's why it works when willpower fails. Willpower asks the weak, in-the-moment self to win every single time, forever. Automation lets the strong, advanced planning self win once and stay one. Defense number 3. Shrink the time gap to make future you closer. Future you feels like a stranger, partly because they're so far away, and distance is what makes them abstract. So bring them closer wherever you can by thinking in nearer future selves. Instead of only me in retirement, who's a total stranger, think about me next year, or me in 5 years. A future self close enough to still feel somewhat like you, whose needs feel more real. Saving for a future self you can almost still feel as yourself is far easier than saving for a distant stranger. And as you build the habit of caring for nearer future selves, the sense of continuity between present and future you strengthens, gradually making even the distant self feel more like you. Start with the future you that's close enough to care about, and let that bridge extend outward over time. Defense number 4. Reframe saving as paying yourself, not giving away. The brain treats saving as giving money to a stranger, so consciously correct the frame every time. When you save, tell yourself clearly, I'm not giving this away, I'm not losing it, I'm moving it, to me, to a different time. This is still my money. I'm just storing it for myself for when I'll need it more. Future you isn't a stranger you're donating to. Future you is you, and saved money isn't gone, it's yours, waiting. By insisting on the truth that saving is paying yourself, transferring your own resources across time to your own future, you fight the stranger illusion directly. The money isn't leaving you, it's leaving your present and arriving at your future, both of which are you. There's a small shift in language that helps cement this. Stop saying, I can't afford to save, and start hearing what's underneath it, which is usually, present me wants this more than I currently feel future me's need. That's not a fact about your finances. It's a report from the front line of the war. And once you can hear it that way, you can answer it honestly. Future me is me. Future me's need is real, even though I can't feel it right now. And I'm not going to rob a real person just because they're quiet. Words matter here, because the stranger illusion lives partly in how we talk about saving. As loss, as sacrifice, as money gone. Reframe it consistently as moving your own resources to your own future, and you slowly retrain the feeling underneath the words, until saving stops feeling like a thing taken from you and starts feeling like a thing kept for you. Defense number 5. Picture future you inheriting today's choice. In the moment of a spending decision, bring future you into the room as a real stakeholder. Ask, the future me who has to live with this, what would they want me to do right now? When they look back on this decision, will they be grateful, or will they wish I'd chosen differently? This pulls future you out of abstraction and into the actual decision, giving them a voice present you can hear. Because future you is the one who inherits every choice, who lives in the world present you builds for them, and giving them a seat at the table, letting them weigh in on what they'll have to live with, rebalances a war that's normally decided entirely by the self that won't face the consequences. Let the person who inherits the choice have a say in making it. Defense number 6. Name the war when you feel the pull. When you feel that pull to spend instead of save, name what's actually happening. That's present me about to win against future me. The want feels vivid because I'm feeling it now, and future me feels abstract because my brain treats them like a stranger. But they're me, and they'll inherit this. Let me not outvote myself. Naming the war pulls future you back into focus as a real person with a stake, instead of a distant abstraction easy to ignore. Because the war stays lopsided only while it's invisible, while present you quietly wins without ever acknowledging there was another self with everything riding on the choice. Name it, see both selves clearly, and you get to decide as the whole you, present and future together, instead of letting the loud present self quietly take from the silent future one. So let's bring it home. Here's everything we figured out today. The war between present you and future you is lost, over and over, because your brain genuinely processes your distant future self as a different person, almost a stranger, rather than as you. And the further away they are, the more stranger-like they feel. So being asked to save feels, deep down, like giving your own money away to someone else, which no brain does easily. And present you holds all the power, vivid, real, here now, feeling its wants intensely, while future you is abstract, silent, and felt as an acquaintance. So present you wins nearly every time, choosing the self it actually identifies with. It is not your fault. It's a deep feature of how your mind handles time and identity turned against your own future. And it is still your responsibility, which you handle by making future you vivid and real, automating saving to take the decision away from present you, shrinking the time gap to nearer future selves, reframing saving as paying yourself rather than giving away, picturing future you inheriting today's choice, and naming the war when you feel the pull. And here's the big thing I want Noggin and you to walk away with. There is only one of you. The present you and the future you aren't really two people at war. That's the illusion, the trick your brain plays by making your future self feel like a stranger. In truth, they're the same single person, you, just standing at different points on one continuous life. Every dollar present you sacrifices isn't lost to some other person. It's caught by your own hands, a little further down the road. Every time present you saves, you're not giving anything away. You're reaching forward through time and taking care of yourself, the one continuous self you'll be your whole life. And the moment you really feel that future you isn't a stranger, But you, depending on you, the only one who can look out for them, the war quietly ends. It stops being present you versus future you and becomes just you, taking care of you across time on the same side at last. That's not sacrifice. That's the deepest form of self-care there is. The present self and the future self finally recognizing each other as one. Cave Noggin is still going to feel his present wants vividly and his future self dimly, like a stranger he can barely picture. That gap in how the brain handles time is far too old to delete. But now there's a clear voice right behind the present pull that says, that future person isn't a stranger. That's me, and they're counting on me, and I won't outvote myself. And choosing to take care of future you, again and again, even when present you holds all the power, is the entire difference between a brain that lets the present self quietly rob the future one for a whole lifetime, and a brain that finally understands there was only ever one self to take care of, and takes care of all of it. So here's where we're going next time. We've been looking at the war over your own future. Next time, we go after one of the deepest engines of overspending there is, the ancient instinct that makes you buy things you don't actually need. Because underneath so much of your spending is a primal drive to acquire, to gather, to accumulate, that fires whether or not you need the thing at all. A hunger for more that was once essential to survival and is now just essential to keeping you broke. Why your brain pushes you to acquire things you have no real use for, where that hunger comes from, and how to feed it without feeding your debt. That's next time. I'll see you there.